Did you know? In 2026, a new California rule could leave millions of drivers without a valid license, even if they've never broken a single traffic law. That's right, we're talking about people getting stripped of their right to drive due to health conditions, unpaid fines, AI surveillance, and even age. This isn't some far off future, it's already starting. And if you drive in California or know someone who does, you need to hear this. What's even more shocking? Some of these changes will happen automatically without you getting so much as a warning. Imagine going to renew your license and suddenly being told, sorry, you're no longer eligible. Sounds like a nightmare? It's real. And today, we're revealing 10 shocking reasons this could happen to you. Trust me, the last one will leave you speechless. If you haven't subscribed yet, you're basically handing over your freedom to the system. I'm giving you the kind of insider info that most people find out after they lose their license. And I'm giving it to you for free. Hit that subscribe button. This isn't a request, it's a warning. And if you live in California, this video could literally save your right to drive. Number 1. Tighter vision standards could disqualify millions. One of the most talked about changes in California's new 2026 driving policy is the tightening of vision standards, and it's already sparking controversy. Under this new rule, drivers may be required to undergo more frequent and detailed vision screenings, even during basic license renewals. That means your ability to legally drive could depend on how clearly you read the smallest letters on a DMV chart. But here's the twist. This change isn't just targeting the elderly. Studies show that even mild visual impairments, like night blindness, blurred peripheral vision, or delayed light adaptation, can significantly increase accident risks. In response, California is aiming to remove unsafe drivers before accidents happen. But critics say the rules are too aggressive and unfairly broad. Think about it. What if you fail a routine vision test not because you're blind, but simply because of aging, screen fatigue, or a temporary eye condition? You could be flagged, denied renewal, or forced into an expensive medical evaluation, even if you've never had an accident in your life. And it gets more serious. Drivers may soon need certified vision clearance from optometrists, especially if they wear glasses or contact lenses. So, missing your next eye exam or forgetting to bring updated prescriptions could actually cost you your license. While safety is the goal, this vision crackdown could quietly strip away driving privileges from people who've been on the road for decades. Sak, the big question is, are we improving safety or punishing normal aging? If you think your glasses will save you, think again. Hit that subscribe button now before California decides your eyes aren't good enough to drive. Number 2, mental health conditions could now cost you your license. Imagine this. You go to renew your license and suddenly you're flagged. Not for speeding, not for DUIs, but because of a note in your medical records. That's a terrifying possibility under California's new 2026 rule, which may allow the DMV to evaluate your mental health history before approving your license. According to legal drafts and expert predictions, the DMV could soon start using health data, including diagnosed anxiety, depression, ADHD, or even insomnia to assess whether a person is fit to drive. While safety is important, this raises serious questions. Are we protecting the roads or punishing people for seeking help? Studies from the National Institute of Mental Health confirm that certain untreated conditions can affect reaction time and decision making. But here's the problem. Not all mental health conditions impair driving, and many are well managed with therapy or medication. Still, under this new framework, your private treatment history could be enough to trigger a mandatory driving reevaluation, or worse, a suspension. What makes it worse? Some physicians may be legally required to report patients they believe are unfit to drive, putting your confidentiality and mobility on the line. Even a temporary episode could result in long-term restrictions. So now, asking for help isn't just about healing. It could be seen as a red flag for the DMV. People could be forced to choose between mental health support and the freedom to drive. Oh, you thought your thoughts were private? Think again. Subscribe right now, before California starts deciding who's normal enough to be on the road. Number 3, AI surveillance could judge your driving before you even make a mistake. What if your next driving test wasn't at the DMV, but inside your car, judged silently by AI? With California's 2026 law changes, that's no longer science fiction. The state is exploring the use of artificial intelligence to monitor driver behavior in real time. Not just by traffic cops, but by your own devices. Through partnerships with insurance companies, car manufacturers, and even mobile apps, California is looking to build a database of driver habits. Sudden braking, sharp turns, phone usage, late night drives, every movement could be logged, scored, and used to determine if you are high risk. Here's the terrifying part. You don't even need to get into an accident. If the AI system finds patterns that predict risky behavior, your license could be flagged for review, restriction, or even suspension, all based on algorithms. Research from Stanford and MIT shows that AI can identify risky driving patterns with up to 92% accuracy. Sounds impressive? Until you realize that 8% margin of error could mean millions of people wrongly penalized. And here's a gut punch. Drivers might not even know they're being scored. If you're using apps like usage-based insurance or have a new smart vehicle, the data could already be collecting, quietly watching and building your profile behind the scenes. Imagine losing your license, not for what you did, but for what an algorithm thinks you might do. You're not just being watched, you're being judged. Subscribe now before your car becomes your courtroom and AI becomes your judge. Number 4, unpaid fines or missed payments could get your license suspended. You didn't commit a crime, you didn't cause an accident, you just forgot to pay a fine. Or maybe your toll notice got lost in the mail. Under California's new 2026 rule, that small oversight could lead to something way bigger, an automatic license suspension. That's right, the state is preparing to link unpaid traffic tickets, tolls, and DMV-related debts directly to your license status. Miss a payment, ignore a notice, your license could be flagged for non-renewal, or worse, cancellation. Sounds extreme? It's already happening in test counties. According to public records, over 4.2 million Californians owe fees tied to their vehicle, from parking violations to bridge tolls. And under the new system, even a minor unpaid balance could put your right to drive at risk. Here's what makes it worse. The new process could be automated. No call, no final warning, just a letter saying your license has been suspended, and by the time you open it, you're already driving illegally. This rule could hit working class families the hardest. For many, a license isn't a luxury. It's the only way to get to work, drop off kids, or access basic services. Taking that away over a missed $75 fee? That's not justice. That's a trap. Critics argue that it's a debt collection system disguised as public safety, punishing people not for being dangerous, but for being broke. Your wallet could decide if you're allowed to drive. Subscribe right now, before your next late fee turns into a full-blown license nightmare. Number 5, renewing your license might now mean retaking the test. Renewing your license used to be easy. Fill out a form, maybe take a vision test, and you're good for years. But under California's 2026 policy shift, routine license renewals could now require written or practical driving tests, even for drivers with clean records. Yes, you heard that right. After decades of driving, you could be told to relearn road rules, sit in the driver's seat with an examiner, and prove yourself all over again. Why? The DMV argues that refresher testing helps eliminate bad habits and keeps drivers sharp. Sure, that sounds great in theory, but in practice, this could create chaos. Imagine the elderly, immigrants, or people with language barriers being forced to pass a standardized exam under pressure just to keep the license they've had for years. Even confident drivers might feel the heat. According to a study from the California Transportation Safety Bureau, many long-term drivers fail written renewal tests simply because they're unfamiliar with updated laws, not because they're unsafe. Things like new bike lane rules, autonomous vehicle zones, or digital signage laws trip up even experienced drivers. This policy could lead to massive backlogs at DMV offices, increased anxiety, and unnecessary suspensions, especially for those who can't take off work or afford to fail and rebook. Suddenly, renewal doesn't mean routine anymore. It means risk. If your license is up for renewal soon, don't assume it's business as usual. Guys, next time you walk into the DMV, you might be walking into an exam room. Smash that subscribe button because one forgotten traffic rule could cost you everything. Number 6, one wrong document could get your license denied. You filled out your renewal, you paid the fee, you showed up to the DMV on time, but then denied. Why? Because your documents didn't match perfectly. That's the harsh reality many Californians may face under the 2026 rule, which introduces stricter residency and identity verification protocols. This new requirement demands absolute accuracy in your paperwork. That means your name, address, and ID info must align exactly across all documents: driver's license, utility bills, lease agreements, and more. A misspelled name, missing middle initial, or even an old address could trigger a rejection or a temporary suspension. Sounds like a small issue? It isn't. For immigrants, students, renters, or anyone who's moved recently, these mismatches are common. According to DMV data, on more than 1.8 million renewal delays last year were tied to documentation problems. And with this new rule, delays could turn into denials. Even worse, undocumented residents or those in legal limbo could be completely locked out of the system. And with federal Real ID integration in play, any discrepancy could be flagged, not just by the DMV, but across multiple state and federal agencies. Imagine losing your license over a typo, or having to prove your identity all over again just because you changed your internet provider and your address didn't update in time. It's not paranoia, it's policy. Your paperwork better be perfect, or you're off the road. Hit subscribe now, before a misplaced letter costs you your license, your job, and your freedom to move. Number 7. The point system is now stricter. Think your driving record is clean? Think again. Under California's 2026 rule changes, the DMV point system is getting a serious overhaul, and that means even minor mistakes could add up to major consequences. Currently, California assigns points for traffic violations, like speeding, red light runs, or reckless driving. Rack up too many points in a short period and you can face suspension. But now, the new rule lowers the threshold. Get just 3 points within 24 months and you could be flagged as a high-risk driver, even if those points came from small non-criminal infractions. Let that sink in. 3 rolling stops, a late signal, and a 10-mile-per-hour speed bump violation. And suddenly, your license is hanging by a thread. Crowley. The DMV argues it's about cracking down on repeat behavior before it turns dangerous. And sure, that might sound like proactive safety, but the truth is, many of these violations happen during commutes, school drop-offs, or stressful city traffic, where even the most careful drivers make split-second calls. Studies from the Highway Safety Institute reveal that low-income and urban drivers are disproportionately penalized under strict point systems, not because they drive worse, but because they drive more often and in tougher conditions. And with automated traffic cameras expanding across California, you don't even need to be pulled over to get hit with a violation. The system will do it for you. Your license might already be ticking, and you don't even know it. Smash that subscribe button now before one more traffic light ends your driving rights. Number 8. Older drivers could be forced to retest. If you're over 70 years old, California's new 2026 rule could make you prove you're still fit to drive, even if you've been driving safely for decades. That's right. Age-based testing and evaluations are making a comeback, and they could force millions of seniors back into the DMV testing line. The proposal includes mandatory vision checks, cognitive assessments, and even behind-the-wheel driving tests for drivers of a certain age. The goal? Spot early signs of decline before they cause accidents. But here's the controversy. Not all seniors are unsafe drivers, and many say this is nothing more than age discrimination in disguise. Research from the AAA Foundation actually shows that older drivers are among the safest on the road. They drive slower, take fewer risks, and are involved in fewer fatal crashes per mile driven. So why target them? The answer might lie in optics. Lawmakers want to show they're cracking down on road safety, and older drivers are an easy target. But this could backfire. Imagine a retired teacher, healthy and alert, losing her license just because she turned 75. That's not safety, that's profiling. And let's be real, for many seniors, driving isn't just convenience, it's their lifeline to independence. Grocery runs, doctor appointments, grandkids' school pickups, all of it depends on having a license. Getting older shouldn't mean getting sidelined. Hit that subscribe button now, because if they can take the wheel away from them, you could be next. Number 9. Your doctor could secretly report you to the DMV. You walk into your doctor's office for a routine checkup. You're honest about a recent dizzy spell, or maybe you mention your sleep issues. Harmless, right? Wrong. Under California's upcoming 2026 policy updates, certain medical conditions may be automatically reported to the DMV, and they could be used to suspend or restrict your driver's license. Here's how it works. If a physician believes your condition, like epilepsy, diabetes, dementia, or severe sleep apnea, could affect your ability to drive safely, they may be legally obligated to inform the DMV. That means your private health issues could trigger a DMV investigation, and sometimes without your consent and without warning. Even if your condition is well managed with medication, Ikaking. You could still face mandatory suspensions, driving restrictions, or be forced into a lengthy re-evaluation process. And yes, it could happen before you've ever had an accident. According to state health data, thousands of drivers are flagged each year through this system, but under the new rules, reporting will become more aggressive. It's part of an effort to catch risks early, but critics argue it violates privacy and discourages people from being honest with their doctors. Imagine being stuck in a medical catch-22. Tell the truth and risk your license, or stay quiet and risk your health. That's not a choice. That's a trap. You thought your health was between you and your doctor? Think again. Subscribe now, before one appointment takes you off the road for good. Number 10, biometric glitches could erase your identity. You walk into the DMV confident. You've got your documents, your renewal form, even your real ID pre-check done. But then the system freezes. The clerk frowns. She tells you, "We're not able to verify your identity." Within minutes, you're being told your license cannot be renewed. Not because of anything you did, but because the facial recognition system didn't match your photo correctly. This is the silent threat of California's upcoming 2026 rule, biometric verification systems. Like facial recognition and fingerprint matching, will become mandatory for most license renewals and ID verifications. In theory, it's supposed to improve security, prevent fraud, and streamline the process, but in reality, these systems are far from perfect. Facial recognition software is known to have higher error rates for women, seniors, and especially people of color. A 2019 study by the National Institute of Standards and Technology in the East revealed that some facial recognition algorithms are 100 times more likely to misidentify Black and Asian faces than white ones. That means millions of Californians could be wrongfully denied their license, simply because the system couldn't read their face correctly. And don't assume it's a one-time glitch. Once you're flagged, your case could be sent for manual investigation, locking your license in limbo for weeks or even months. You won't be able to drive. You won't be able to update your registration, and worst of all, you may not even know why it's happening. This rule also opens the door for data sharing across agencies. So a glitch in one government system could impact others. Your driving privileges, travel clearance, and even job applications could all be affected by a single biometric error. You're not just proving who you are anymore. You're proving it to a machine. And if the machine doesn't recognize you, you're out of luck. One wrong scan, one blurry photo, one system error, and your identity disappears. Smash that subscribe button right now, because next time, it might not be a hacker stealing your ID, it might be the system itself. You've just heard 10 powerful reasons why millions of California drivers could lose their licenses in 2026. Not because they're dangerous, but because of new laws, flawed systems, unfair assumptions, and tech glitches that could impact anyone. Whether it's AI judging your habits, medical reports becoming DMV red flags, or facial recognition systems that can't read your face, one thing is clear. The future of driving isn't just about how you drive, it's about how the system sees you. This isn't fear-mongering. These rules are already in motion, being quietly tested and introduced county by county. They sound like common sense at first: safety, modernization, accountability, but underneath, they carry layers of complexity and risk. And the people who'll feel it the most, not reckless drivers. I can't sell, but everyday Californians who rely on their license for freedom, work, survival, and dignity. Think about how deeply driving is tied to our lives. It's how parents get their kids to school, how workers commute to jobs, how the elderly get to appointments, how immigrants stay connected to their communities. A suspended license isn't just an inconvenience. For some, it's the start of a domino effect that leads to lost income, missed opportunities, and even legal trouble. And what's truly disturbing? Most people have no idea this is coming. That's why this video matters, because now you know. And knowledge is the one thing they can't take from you. But this doesn't stop here. These rules could expand. Other states might follow. New layers might be added. The system might evolve faster than people can keep up. And if you're not paying attention, you could be next in line, caught in a web of AI scoring, paperwork mismatches, or medical profiling, wondering what went wrong. So what can you do? Stay informed, speak up, double check your documents, get that eye exam, watch your driving record, help your parents or grandparents navigate the new testing rules. Be proactive, not reactive. And most importantly, don't stay silent, because silence is how systems like this grow unchecked. If this video opened your eyes, do something about it. Like the video. Comment below if any of these 10 rules shocked you. or if you've already felt their impact. Share this with someone who drives in California. Trust me, you might save them from a serious surprise. And above all, subscribe. This isn't just a news story. This is your life, your rights, your freedom, and we're going to keep exposing the truth one video at a time. Stay aware, stay protected, stay subscribed.